I think that there are still questions around the system itself. I do understand that there was issues with this daycare, but that's only because, well, we only know about them because of this massive E. coli outbreak. And so I'm wondering, with the legislation that's in place right now, how many other kitchens, and not just ones feeding daycare, but just kitchens in general, are able to sort of fly under the radar of the checks and balances that we have in place at the moment.
Would you like to see more, I guess, a more robust inspection service, like the province itself put money into that to make sure there are enough people out there doing this kind of thing?
I think, yes, a combination of that, and then just maybe some different criteria. Like I said, different consequences and different types of fines and follow-up for the kitchens that are having citations, because I really think that the consequences are what's going to motivate change. If getting a citation has no impact on your ability to run business and no expense for the kitchen, there's not a lot of motivation to make an adjustment beyond satisfying an inspector for, a 24-hour period where they're coming back.
How confident do you feel sending your child back to daycare?
It's a mixed question, because I really felt like the people that were directly providing care to my son were really passionate and amazing at their job, and he did really well socially, and his confidence, all of that. I certainly don't feel comfortable with the way that this is a kitchen was run, and maybe some of the higher up decisions that I'm not aware of, that I'm assuming the government is regulating for children's safety. So it's not just my daycare in particular. I'm wondering about any daycare. What are they being required to do, and how are they being regulated?
And would you, I guess, send him back with food you've prepared rather than relying on the daycare now?
Oh yes, absolutely. I've already bought some little fancy, coolered lunch kits and snack packs, and we're all ready to just provide the food. I mean, the children in their 5 are really vulnerable, and until I have a much, much clearer idea, because I also have a 1-year-old daughter who's supposed to start in care in just a few weeks, and it's just not the risk that I'm willing to take at the moment.
When will your child be ready to go back to daycare?
59-156 Street today.
The process with EHS has been very confusing, and it's very long and difficult to get a rescind letter, not just to get the letter, but to access test results, and then to follow up and get the letter. There do seem to be some delays for some people, and lots of phone calls to 811 to try and push things through. So at this point, I am really struggling just to get proxy access to my son's medical records, so I'm not even able to check the test results. And I've submitted some help tickets and sent lots of emails, and I hope to find a solution there first, just so that I can even start tackling the problem. It's just already becoming quite a lengthy process.
Well, we wish you the best of health for your son, and hope things go smoothly from here on, Sarah. Thanks so much for joining us to tell your story.
Thank you very much.
Sarah McDonald is a Calgary parent whose 4-year-old son was sickened by E. coli. In an emailed statement to CBC, Fueling Minds, the company that operates the kitchen that made the food, said it would not provide comment on the ongoing legal proceedings. The company added they continue to work with AHS in their investigation, but noted that, quote, today's update from AHS indicated the exact source of the infections has not been identified. The well-being of the community and our staff remains our priority. You can read more about this story on our website at cbc.ca/Edmonton. It is 5 minutes now before 8. Let's check in with Tricia Kindleman, see if she's ready to talk about what's coming up in news this hour. Good morning, Tricia.
Good morning. Thanks, Mark. Well, the University of Alberta has announced they'll be closing an endowment fund it received from an ex-Nazi soldier's family. We'll hear more about that situation. And also 2 major automakers announcing some recalls this morning. We'll have details on that coming up as well.
All right, Tricia, thanks very much for that. Let's turn to Tara, see what's going on in traffic today. How's it looking out there, Tara?
Yeah, there's a couple things to let you know about. So earlier we heard from a listener about a collision on 153rd Avenue and Victoria Trail. So eastbound through that spot, a collision occurred. There may still be a bit of a delay because of that. And then also just looking into a couple of spots, heard from Hugh this morning on our text line. Now, one of them I need to confirm, but 111th Avenue at 142nd Street, apparently there is a stall, it sounds like, that's blocking the middle lane. So if you are traveling through that spot, you may encounter some delays because of that. And then otherwise, looking around the rest of the city, eastbound on the Whitemud looking busy. Perhaps there's some construction right around Snow Valley Ski Club. I think we saw that yesterday. So that'll cause some delays as you're approaching the Quesnel Bridge, and then that whole stretch past 53rd Ave until you get to the Snow Valley area. Then it starts to clear up from there. Also looking pretty busy for westbound traffic on the Whitemud, where you're then looking to connect northbound on the Henday in the West End. That can be a busy spot around this time of the morning, and that's the case right now. Both directions heading over the southwest leg of the Henday expect delays, so westbound and eastbound. And then also delays continue in a number of construction zones, such as on the Yellowhead between 121st and 127th Street westbound, as well as on Gateway Boulevard, as well as White Ave, and right around that area, Gateway from 76th Ave to White Ave has only one lane open, and then on White Ave there are lane closures as well, so that's what's causing the backup through those spots. Pound 740 is the number to call for any traffic updates. You can also send a text, 587-336-2929. We're at 7 degrees right now. Winds are calm to get us started. And looks like we'll see a mix of sun and cloud today. It's been a bit of a gray morning, but still seeing some blue sky out there. 30% chance of showers for later this afternoon. Risk of a thunderstorm as well. High of 18 degrees. And then could also see some showers, at least a slight chance of them for early in the evening. After midnight and then during the overnight period, we're looking at a few showers and risk of thunderstorm. And we'll get down to a low of 7. So starting at 7, a low of 7. In between, we're looking to hit about 18 as our high for today.
Now, we talked on our entertainment report about a lot of things going on around town this weekend, but it is actually very busy. A lot of stuff we couldn't get to in that. I just want to give a shout out to all the folks who are taking part in harvest festivals this weekend, because there's a few of them going on out and about in Edmonton and the surrounding area, of course. The Prairie Gardens, where you and I were out there in Concord one year, I think you remember, we were shooting the cannons.
Yeah, it's probably 2019, 2020, something like that.
Well, they've got the Haunted Pumpkin U-Pick Festival starting this weekend. Starts on Saturday, so if you want to go out there, it's a lovely place to go. It's just set in a really nice setting there, and all kinds of stuff going on. Also, Harvest Festival in Stony Plain at the Parkland Pioneer Museum, so they got that happening as well. And a shout out to the Telescope of Science, because Queen Elizabeth Planetarium is reopening now. This was opened originally in 1960, so kids, people my age, when you were a kid, that planetarium was the place to go. It was one of the best sort of outings for schools when you went. So they refurbished it. Then you can get a free tour starting this weekend. They have restored it, and so that's pretty cool. Look forward to that. And of course, it is the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. So we are going to be tomorrow giving you a lot of details about the various events that are happening around in and around the city with that being marked on the weekend. So lots going on, and if you ever have something that's happening in your neck of the woods and you want us to let everybody else know, you can always email us at edmontonam@cbc.ca, and that goes for any kind of event, whether it's entertainment, sports, that sort of thing. We'd like to cover it all, and we'll get to some of those as we go through the weekend. Now, coming up on the program, a very tasty treat. You may be aware that the Great Canadian Baking Show is kicking off the season this weekend, and Edmonton and its surrounding area, we've had a lot of bakers who have appeared on that program, and we always invite them here just to give them a little bit of a chance to talk about how they do baking. Plus, they bring in lots of great baking. So we're going to be eating in the next half hour and chatting about baking as well, honestly. That's coming up after the report. It's on video.
This is World Report. Good morning from CBC News. I'm Marcia Young. A newly released document suggests
police are concerned about the safety of another Sikh activist in BC. The man is from the same Gurdwara as Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Nijjar was shot and killed in late June, and Canada says there is credible evidence the Indian state was involved. Hilary Johnstone has more from Ottawa.
Gurmeet Singh Toor says the RCMP arrived at his door on August 24th with a warning. He says it was outlined in a document called A Duty to Warn. It reads in part, quote, police have determined by way of one or more investigative avenues that your life may be in peril. The RCMP have not yet confirmed the document's veracity, but CBC News did speak with Toor with the help of a translator.
So on August 24th, when the RCMP and then SEP came to warn Mr. Toor asked them, like, why is he facing this threat? They stated that they cannot give him any further details on that yet.
The group Six for Justice says Toor and Hardeep Singh Nijjar were, quote, close associates. Nijjar was a supporter of an independent Sikh state known as Khalistan. And after Nijjar's death in June, Toor began actively campaigning in a non-binding vote in BC in support of Khalistan. Toor says he is worried for his safety.
After the warning, he is keeping more aware of everything, of the surroundings, and trying his best to stay safe.
India has denied Canada's accusation it was involved in Nijjar's killing, causing a diplomatic chill between the two countries. Six for Justice is now calling for the expulsion of India's High Commissioner to Canada. Hilary Johnstone, CBC News, Ottawa.
Dozens of Canadians are demanding the truth about their adoptions from South Korea. CBC News has conducted a months-long investigation and dug into the lives of children adopted after the Korean War, and it found some of those people now living in Canada were stolen from their birth parents. Priscilla Kisang-Kwong reports.
The first 4.5 to 5 years of my life are boiled down to 4 pieces of paper.
Leah Kim Brighton was adopted into Canada in the 1980s as an orphan without records of her birthplace or parents. For years, her Canadian family searched for more information about her past. Then one day, the adoption agency, Korea Welfare Services, told them
My birth parents were not only very much known, they were both alive. It was shocking.
she formed a special bond with her Amma, her Korean mom, eating her delicious food and sleeping next to her. But Brighton's mom died 5 years later.
You know, my time with her was cut so short, and in part because letters that my adoption agency shared with me said that there was nothing that they could do.
Meanwhile, international law expert Lee Kyung-eun says adoption agencies and South Korean authorities fabricated orphan papers so children could easily get visas abroad.
This orphan-making procedure was totally illegal.
CBC News uncovered that government officials were warned in the 1970s about possible lucrative adoption practices in South Korea, but about 3,000 children still came to Canada. Adoptees and Global Affairs Canada say they're awaiting results from the Korean Truth and Reconciliation investigation into hundreds of cases. Priscilla Kisang-Wong, CBC News, Ottawa.
There are new U.S. polls this morning in the race for the White House and BC as President Joe Biden and Donald Trump in a tie. Both were a target last night in the second GOP hopeful debate. As freelance reporter Steve Futterman explains, that event was much like the first, sometimes chaotic and missing the front runner.
At times during the second GOP debate, it was impossible to understand a thing anyone was saying. Repeatedly, the candidates interrupted and spoke over each other, and they were also on the attack. Several times, Donald Trump, who was again a no-show, faced unusually harsh attacks. Former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie mocked him.
Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. And you're not here tonight because you're afraid.
Nikki Haley went after business entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy for his business dealings with China and his use of TikTok.
TikTok is one of the most dangerous social media apps that we could have. And what you've got, I honestly, every time I hear you, I feel a little bit dumber.
At one point, it almost seemed comical when Tim Scott went after Haley, accusing her of spending $50,000 on curtains when she was UN ambassador.
Did you send them back?
It's in the press.
Did you send them back?
They were there before I even showed up at the residence.
Watching the debate with a bit of a smirk was California's Democratic Governor Gavin Newsom. At the end, he summed it up this way.
B-team. I mean, if you're Trump, you're sitting back just going, wow. Like, actually, wow.
And nothing last night which seemed to threaten Trump's huge lead in the race to get the Republican nomination. Steve Futterman for CBC News at the Reagan Library in Simi Valley, California.
Southern Texas is experiencing what some are warning could be the largest refugee crisis in the world. Migrants, mostly from Venezuela, are overwhelming local facilities. As Tony Waterman reports, the politicians are unable to find a solution. Instead, they're pointing fingers and shifting blame.
After leaving Venezuela 3 months ago, Lady Medina crosses through dense, sharp razor wire with her young children, the final barrier to reaching America.
I feel happy that I finally got through with a lot of fear. I'm happy I'm here and nothing happened to me or my children.
She joins nearly 10,000 asylum seekers who have poured into Eagle Pass, Texas in the past week. Their arrival is straining a small city of 28,000, and many of the migrants are being bused to other cities. Texas's Republican Governor Greg Abbott blames the crisis on the Biden administration for failing to enforce its own policies, which require migrants to apply for asylum from outside the U.S. or be deported if they don't.
His top job must be to keep America safe, and he's endangering the United States every single day.
President Biden says it's Congress's responsibility to pass comprehensive immigration reform. In the meantime, crossings could spike further as a record number of migrants pass through the treacherous Darien Gap, separating South America and Panama as they march towards the U.S.-Mexico border. Tony Waterman for CBC News, Eagle Pass, Texas.
There are new troubles for the world's second largest economy. Shares in Evergrande have halted, and its boss is now under police surveillance. Evergrande was once China's top-selling property developer, but after defaulting in 2021, it's become notoriously deep in debt, and analysts suggest it is the latest sign China's real estate sector is in trouble. A report looking into a leaky oil sands operation has cleared Alberta's energy regulator of wrongdoing. Last year, millions of liters of wastewater leaked from a tailings pond upstream from a First Nation. There was a delay in telling local leaders. As Julia Wong reports, they say the new report does not address their concerns.
Our trust with the AER is zero.
Athabasca Chippewa First Nation Chief Alan Adams says the Alberta Energy Regulator, or AER, needs to overhaul its rules. Unknown quantities of industrial wastewater leaked from an Imperial Oil tailings pond upstream from the community, and the regulator did not alert them for 9 months until a second leak. Now, a report commissioned by the regulator says there were no areas of non-compliance when it came to policies, standards, and procedures. It says the regulator should improve communications, clarify what are incidents and emergencies, and clear up when they should be reported.
I don't believe anything in that report that will be meaningful change to come in the near future.
David Goldie is the regulator's board chair.
We're talking about a step change here in terms of how the AER communicates with the public. There's going to be a lot more engagement.
But environmental law professor Martin Olchinski says the 15-page report is lacking in detail about the spill itself.
Show us the records, show us the decision-making that was made to determine, for instance, that there wasn't going to be any public notification for 8 months.
The First Nation says its fight is far from over. It says it's planning legal action in the coming months. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
Chilliwack is one of Canada's greatest rock bands from the 70s and 80s. So is April Wine, Glass Tiger, Loverboy, Trooper, and
reasonably current, whether that can last 10 years or whatever. That's AWOL Nation Sale, and so that reminded me of that same kind of sound. Anyway,
completely, and I had no idea who Bruce Hack was.
No.
Had no idea. He's a guy who was on Mr. Rogers. He was on Johnny Carson. Kanye West has sampled him. Russell Simmons has sampled him in terms of hip hop. And so thank goodness I heard that story today, because it made me puff out my chest even more as an Albertan, saying we've produced some pretty cool things, and this is a pioneer in that kind of music. Hey, we did get a couple of text messages saying that sounds like a retro video game.
Yeah,
it totally does. Yeah.
Provincial Archives of Alberta got a hold of a whole bunch of the memorabilia for Bruce Hawk, and so now they're doing this psychedelic tribute to Bruce Hawk with a light show and everything at the TELUS World of Science. That's tomorrow night. You may be able to still get some. It's free to go in, but you just got to be enough room. So you can go and check it out. Doors open at 6:30 tomorrow night at the TELUS World of Science. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, we also talked today about the TELUS domes. If somebody
TELUS balls.
Oh yeah.
We here in Edmonton just call them the balls.
Well, the official name, TELUS dome. And we did hear from somebody who drove by it and said that the scaffolding had been taken down. Of course, they are doing some reno work on it after it was damaged because first responders had to cut a guy out who decided it would be really fun to climb the balls and then fell in and then got stuck there for a few hours.
And we heard earlier today from David Turnbull, who's the Director of Public Art with the Indian Arts Council. So our producer, Chris Gardner, chatted with him yesterday. So we ran a couple of clips just about what was going on. But he had said in the clip, even from yesterday, at the end of the construction that everything was in sight. Didn't say it might be first thing this morning. And so shortly after that conversation, got a few texts in from those of you in Shedville saying, yeah, the tarps are off. And the TELUS dome, I said, is back shining in its glorious splendor. Somebody sent me a note about splendor. It's always been a lightning rod for discussion, huh?
Yeah, it's been there since what, 2000? What did you say, 2010?
2011.
It's been there for a long time.
It cost $600 million.
It doesn't cost $600 million.
Yes,
it cost $600,000.
Oh no, yeah, sorry, that's what I meant.
$600 million. Oh,
inflation.
Flying completely blows up at that point. No, $600,000, and it's part of living in a livable city. But anyway, although people are accusing us of being apologists for art. Okay.
No.
But you know what? I'll take that. Yeah, I think this is important.
I know that lots of people think it's ridiculous and it's a waste of the $600,000, but whatever. I like it, and I've gotten used to it.
I do too.
And I think it's part of sort of our quirky fabric at this point. So
yeah, it's part of, T-shirts. It's just part of who we are at this point. I got this text saying, I always tell my niece that it's where the balls hit by the bat on 118th Avenue landed. I love that comment. Really, yeah, he doesn't like the TELUS jokes, but he does tell his niece that story, so I thought that was kind of funny.
So part of that conversation with Dave Turnbull this morning from the Director of Public Art was also talking about something that's new, that's going to be unveiled on the 6th of October. It's an interactive public art installation, and it's aimed at helping people get better connected in Butler Memorial Park. So our producer, Chris Gardner, was talking to Dave Turnbull about that new exhibit.
This is a new artwork created by a duo of Calgary artists, Caitlin Darcy Brown and Wayne Garrett. And it's an installation of telephones within the park. And you can actually pick up a phone and it will call another telephone within the park. So you can call other members of the public. It's an amazing piece to interact with, bring family down. It's beautifully done, and it's a very sensitive piece for the neighborhood. You can also leave a message for other people on their voice messaging system. So that's a wonderful interactive piece.
I gotta see that, because that doesn't make sense to me in my mind. I'm calling people? Like, people don't want to hear from me. Nobody wants phone calls anymore.
Some people might. But for me, it was like, I've never heard of Butler Memorial Park. But I know which one it is now, because it's on Stony Plain Road, 957th
Street. It's right by the big orange building, the old Grant McEwen.
Right by the Orange Hub. The old McEwen Jasper Place campus. Yeah, the Orange Hub. But, again, I'm horrible with names, but I know the park. And so, okay, now we know. But that's opening on October the 6th. I think there's still some fencing that it's around in the meantime. So.
Okay, so we got a sneak peek of a new art installation that Edmontonians can complain about.
It is just past 8:14. Let's take a quick break. Be back with more this morning with Stacey and Daryl.
630 CHED is stoked to support the 2023 Tim Hortons NHL Heritage Classic, October 29th at Commonwealth. 20 years ago, we made history with the league's inaugural outdoor game. Now, your Edmonton Oilers are back on the field to take on the Calgary Flames for the ultimate battle of Alberta. Don't miss a game for the ages. Get your tickets now at NHL.com/Heritage Classic Tickets. Plus, keep it locked to 630 CHED and check out our contest page for your chance to win.
Pre-planning your final arrangements can help emotional and financial stress during a time of grief. Contact our friendly, commission-free care team at edmonton.ca/cemeteries to learn more.
We've heard it all before. This bathroom reno won't take too long. Well, it's been 6 months and the bathroom still isn't finished. When you're looking to renovate your bathroom, trust Wave Bathroom Renovations. They combine expert planning and experienced installers to make sure every bathroom reno is quick, easy, and doesn't drag on and on and on. See what your bathroom could be today by visiting their beautiful showroom on 99th Street, just north of the White Mud, or wavebathroominnovations.ca. 6:30 Chad wants you to get set for an unforgettable adventure to Costa Rica with Daryl McIntyre. Tune in to 6:30 Chad all day long, now until October 13th for your word of the day. When you heard the word, visit 630ched.com and enter to win a January dream getaway for two at the luxurious Dreams Las Marias Resort, valued at over $7,500. Compliments of New West Travel, Sunwing, and Dreams Resort Las Marias. Your 6:30 Ched Costa Rican adventure awaits.
Did you know recent studies have shown that hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by nearly half? I'm Remington Chandro, owner of Professional Audiology Clinic. Give us a call today to get the personalized hearing care you deserve. 780-424-7659.
Stacey Brotzel and Daryl McIntyre on 6:30 Ched, supported by Abe's Door Service, with 24/7 emergency service where you speak to an actual person. Visit abesdoor.ca.
And of course, just at the top of the hour, give you the code word once again for the jetaway to Costa Rica with Daryl. And a whole bunch of other people. You know how this is a contest to win a trip for two, but then there will be a whole bunch of people that are just buying the trip because they know it's a ton of fun going on these listener trips here on 6:30 Ched. And Costa Rica is just a great place to go. You get a direct flight. It's a gorgeous resort. So there's a pre-party, so you get to know everybody before you ever leave. There's an arrival party. There's a middle of the event party. There's a party coming home.
Demanding day when you tape, like from 6 in the morning till 8 at night. You get back. Oh yeah,
that's a long day.
Yeah, it is a long day.
Tell me about the cake you brought.
Okay, so I brought a cake in, and there's a little caveat with this, and that it's you're guinea pigs, because I'm developing new flavors and stuff all the time. So this cake, it's decorated with little white chocolate flowers.
Looks beautiful.
And inside it's banana.
Oh, I love
so
banana.
almost like a banana bread. And then in between the two layers is a white chocolate ganache that's laced with bourbon and a little bit of walnuts.
I like your choice of the words laced with bourbon.
Well, you know, that's the other thing. Whenever I could kind of introduce a little spirit something into the baking, a lot of the bakers did that too.
Yeah,
I like it. How did it compare? You said you loved the show for so long, but how did it compare to be on the show, recording it, taping it day after day?
Oh God, it's weird, you know. The first time, like, because it does, there are points in the day or in the weeks where it sinks in that you're actually on the show,
right?
And then it really sinks in when you see all of their social media releases by CBC and the production company and stuff like that. And I really keep a low profile on social media.
Not anymore. Come on, Kathy.
Yeah,
you're going to be famous now. Or at least CBC famous.
Infamous, yeah.
So where are you going to watch the show this weekend?
Oh, well, I have a big basement. And
as is traditional in Leduc.
Yeah. And it's going to be converted from my agility space for my little dogs into a viewing room. So I have about 40 of my closest friends coming over.
All right, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have to revisit Kathy at the agility room with the dogs. That's a whole other interview, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for coming this morning. We're going to cut up this cake.
Sure.
And we will review it.
Okay. Tell me. Oh boy, another critique. Oh.
Yeah, just what you need, right?
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Thanks.
We're easily pleased, for sure. That's Kathy and Ivan, baker extraordinaire from Leduc. She's one of the contestants of the Great Canadian Baking Show, which airs this Sunday on CBC Television and CBC Gem. It's 20 minutes after 8. You're listening to Edmonton AM on CBC Radio 1, 93.9 FM, and on the CBC Listen app. Mark Conley and Sausage Rolls. Tara McCarthy.
Hi.
Sorry.
You know, I really do admire the fact that you could have just taken a bite to then still converse, but instead you just decided to devour the whole sausage roll, which did not allow you to converse really anymore.
Before you leave,
Mark, concentrate. No, you don't need to eat anymore right now. We still
grab
need
this other sausage
We need your
roll.
voice on the air.
Oh,
so
why?
Could you just put that away for now?
I'm just going to stare at the sausage roll for a while. Oh, so traffic.
Okay. Traffic's looking pretty good. It is definitely busy out there, though. A number of spots where you're going to encounter some slowdowns. One is as you're traveling eastbound on the White Mud. I believe there's some construction around Snow Valley Ski Club. That must be the case because there is no report of a stall or a collision. But as you're traveling eastbound after the Quesnel Bridge, that's where you'll start to be delayed. Stop and go traffic all the way to 53rd Ave, and then even a little further past there. And then once you get around the Snow Valley area, it starts to clear up, so give yourself extra time to work through that spot. Westbound on the White Mud in the West End, as you're then looking to head northbound on the Henday, also looking a bit busy this morning. Same with Gateway Boulevard between 76th Ave to White Ave. That stretch, only one lane open to traffic. And then eastbound and westbound on the Yellowhead, the whole area between about 121st Street to 142nd Street. In either direction, there's some construction here and there, so don't forget about that, as it'll slow you down a touch this morning as well. 7 degrees right now, west-northwest winds at 5 kilometers per hour. As we continue through the day, a high of 18 with a mix of sun and clouds, slight chance of showers for early this morning and late this afternoon. Risk of a thunderstorm for later today as well.
Thank you, Tara. It's 22 minutes after 8. This week, our producer, Ishita Verma, is filling in for our pop culture column. This is her big break. Good morning, Ishita.
Good morning, Mark. Tara.
You looking forward to this?
Yeah, it was a good day.
So you are here to answer a question that is overtaking, I guess, TikTok. So what is that exactly?
Well, Mark, how often do you think about the Roman Empire?
You asked me this last week, and I had no idea what you were talking about. I don't think about the Roman Empire very often, but when you thought about it, then I started thinking about it every day once you mentioned that to me.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you don't think about it on the daily makes you kind of one of a kind.
Really?
Yeah, it's a trend that started when a woman asked her partner how often he thought about it, and it was a surprising answer.
Do you think about the Roman Empire?
What about the Roman Empire?
Just anything about it.
Probably not a lot. Why?
Not a lot? When was the last time you thought about it?
Maybe a week or two ago. The Roman Empire was a very big part of history.
So how often do you think about it?
Not a lot.
How often? Once every month?
Maybe 3 or 4